Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with a couple of new releases, and it's Uriah Heep Picture Discs. And I've covered these in a couple of videos before, but two more have come out. So in my first video, I looked at, if I can sort them out, very humble. Classic album, isn't it? Classic album. And also Salisbury. And obviously the two that look the most beautiful as picture discs, which is Demons and Wizards. And on the back side of that, of course, was the new design, or more recent reimagined design. And then Magician's Birthday, and they did the same on the other side. And then a separate video, I brought you up to date with Sweet Freedom and Return to Fantasy. Well, two more have appeared, fresh off the press. And they are High and Mighty and Wonderworld from 1976 and 1974. Now these picture discs are excellent because I did a side-by-side comparison to the vinyl albums, as you saw in my previous video, and they were absolutely brilliant. And I know that picture discs traditionally have got poor sound, but these are excellent. My only criticism, which I said before, was I wish they could have been in proper card sleeves instead of these PVC ones that kind of collapse in on themselves if they're put on like racks like this. And I'm not a fan of PVC sleeves, but apart from that, they're wonderful. Now at the bottom of here it says it'll say the number, so they're limited editions, and this says this is number 7. Now they've been released in a peculiar order in a way. Originally, some of these were in a huge box set called, I think it was the Uriah Heep, the picture disc set with a t-shirt for every day of the week, and there was a picture disc for every day of the week, so there was obviously 7 of them. So they've carried on doing these, but they haven't been released in order. So this is number 7 and this is number 9. Now all of the other ones I've got obviously go through a sequence. Now the eagle-eyed amongst you will have noticed that where is number 3? Because number 3 is Look at Yourself, and it hasn't come out yet. So I'm hoping that Look at Yourself is there somewhere. I can't imagine, and I know that some Uriah Heep covers lend themselves more to picture discs than others. And Look at Yourself, of course, was obviously a very, you can see the camera, hello, was a clever design. Look at Yourself, it's a mirror. And as a picture disc, that isn't going to quite work, is it? But the back will. But if they do another 2, if they're going to release them 2 at a time, the next one to do beyond that, of course, is Firefly, which would be a beautiful picture disc. Anyway, so beyond that, I might as well, while I'm here, just talk a little bit about these albums, because this is 1974 Wonderworld, and I know the band themselves never liked that design, did they? I know Ken Hensley hated it, and Mick Box has said that he felt that Lee Kerslake looked like a little garden gnome. I always thought it was really cool. Even when I was at school, I thought that was a really cool design. I mean, album-wise, this is my vinyl version. It's not one of their strongest albums, but I think not. You have to think for the Uriah Heep, they were being worked at such an extent. It's 1974, and I think they'd already done 6 albums and a live album in that period. You know, and if they'd just been allowed, like nowadays, you could have 2 years. Well, you could record and release an album and then tour it for 2 or 3 years, couldn't you? Now. But then, if you'd even been given a year to do an album and 2 and then do another one, but this was like literally every 4 to 5 months they were back in the studio. And by this time, of course, you know, David Byron was seriously drinking a lot. Ken was dabbling in cocaine. You know, it was a tough time. And then literally a year after this, Gary Thane had sadly passed away, I think from a heroin overdose. But there are some great tracks on here, Suicidal Man and Something or Nothing, etc. And the thing that drew me towards this in later years was finding out, do you remember that pop band called Aha from the 80s? And I remember reading an interview with the vocalist, and he said that this was his favourite album of all time, which made me reassess it, because obviously he was a pop guy. I mean, Aha were a very, you know, great band, but the fact that this was his favourite band made me reappreciate it. But the other one that's in this just being released, I'll show it to you again because it is High and Mighty, 1976. This reminds me a bit, when I say reminds, it reminds me a bit of Deep Purple Stormbringer. Not because it's like it, but because a bit like when Stormbringer came out, it was such a shock to Deep Purple fans that the band had literally gone somewhere no one expected, that this was similar. I love Stormbringer, and I love this, and I do think it's an excellent album. And again, David Byron's last album, because he was really on the edge by this point, and whichever way we look at it as fans, it was a disaster waiting to happen, and his drinking had got worse, and the fact that he handed over his vocals to John Wetton for the opening track is quite interesting, really. For all intents and purposes, this is a solo album for Ken Hensley, isn't it? It is really, and it's probably one of the best solo albums Ken Hensley could have done with Uriah Heep backing him. Literally every song was written by Hensley. He had complete control at this point, and it's very un-Heep in many respects. A bit like Stormbringer isn't a classic or a traditional Deep Purple album, but I love it, and I love this. So I know I'm showing you the picture discs, but these two CD versions you can still get, which have got these were classed as the deluxe edition. So Wonderworld had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bonus tracks, and they're really good. This series of Uriah Heep reissues were very good. Bonus tracks on here was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on High and Mighty. I just love this period of the band, but I also love the new period of Uriah Heep. I'm going to do a complete rundown of Uriah Heep albums very, very soon, and how I rank them, and you'll be surprised how many of the more recent ones are at the higher reaches as well. But this, I've always liked this. Yes, it's so far removed from the early Heep, but I really, really like it. Some great songs and great performances, and I have to say, I always thought it was well produced as well, considering it was the first one that Jerry Brom wasn't really involved in. I think he hated it. Produced by Uriah Heep, Ashley Howe was helping out, but really, really good. So if you have been collecting this series of picture discs, these are the latest ones in the series, so I hope look at yourself, and maybe Firefly is next in line, but I think they're really cool. I'm a big Heep fan, so there you go. So that means I've got 8 now, although it says, you see, this is why I think there must be another one, because on High and Mighty it says number 9, so number 3 has got to come out, otherwise that numbering is a bit peculiar. So thank you very much for watching, thank you for being here, and thank you for all of your support, those of you who become patrons and also YouTube members as well. It really does make a difference. So stay safe, keep spinning those records, and I shall see you very, very soon.